everybody for joining us. This is one of our most popular webinars that we've, I think, ever held, and we're so excited to have you here.
So I am the co-founder of Proof of Impact. I'm also the person who dragged Oni to Africa. I'll claim that and let her stay. What is really stopping the growth of impact investing, which is, I think, one of the topics of today. So we have the impact investing universe we want to talk about, investing in women and girls, the data, right? And then how do we create investment structures that align the data with what the universe wants? And when I said that we started in impact investing in 2008, it wasn't called impact investing then. It was referred to as social entrepreneurship. It was referred to as some form of concessionary investing, doing good, doing well. And over time, it evolved to impact investing as a category. And the category, according to the GIN, as you all know, has about $715 billion of assets under management, which sounds like a lot of money, but it's peanuts, considering that there's about $300 trillion in the world in wealth. And we've done some research under an entity called 17 Africa, where we looked at, of the 300 trillion, how much of that is actually looking for financial return and some form of positive contribution, which is what impact investing is about. And it's roughly 100 trillion. And that's really the opportunity, which is to make Africa and women visible so we get access to that amount of money.
And next up, we have Shaluba, who's going to be discussing gender lens investing.
I am the Secretariat Co-Lead for the National Task Force for Impact Investing, but we're also currently establishing an agriculture value chain fund that predominantly looks at empowering women. And this is key for us, given that we are a female-owned and managed fund management group. To start, I'd like to articulate the business case for investing in women. I think, firstly, gender equality is integral to Africa's economic and social development. Gender equality is goal 5 of the SDGs and a key enabler for the achievement of other development outcomes. Gender smart investors recognize that financial systems engage and benefit men and women differently, and these investors are actively committed to considering gender in the investment process and to using finance as a tool to promote gender equality. Gender lens investing is therefore the process by which gender smart investors intentionally and measurably address gender disparities and examine gender dynamics to inform their investment decisions. We've listed a number of examples on the continent, which are quite exciting and speak to some of the activity that is taking place. I think firstly, we've got the African Development Bank, which has partnered with the Canadian government that recently launched a gender-focused climate finance fund, which is providing concessionary capital and loans to climate change related projects with a strong gender responsive component. We also have the Alethea IDF fund, which is a $100 million fund to build the investment gap between men and women, and is investing in 6 countries on the continent. Thirdly, which is worth noting, is the Africa Trust, which is an early stage gender lens investor committed to investing in women entrepreneurs. And I think maybe lastly to touch on is the Graça Machel Trust, which also has a gender lens Pan-Africa investment vehicle. If we then move to the final slide, I'd like to close off with the future and the anticipated growth of gender lens investing on the continent and highlight 7 trends we're likely to see. Firstly, we're likely to see more women ownership, women in management and leadership at an employee, supplier, customer, but also at a stakeholder level. Secondly, we're likely to see growth, which will occur when efforts and strategies are more gender proactive and inclusive. Thirdly, we're likely to see the rise in investment goals and targets related to gender diversity. Fourth, I think, which is quite key, is enhancing the capacity of women fund managers on the continent. And there are numerous efforts that are taking place to develop female fund managers on the continent, which is quite exciting. Fifth, I anticipate there will be more investments into women-led businesses. And then I think we'll also see the prominence of more products like gender bonds and data that supports the case for investing in women. And then lastly, I think what is key and needed is to institutionalize gender smart investing by adding diversity criteria, fostering gender inclusive policies, creating gender smart solutions and toolkits, but also learning from international working groups such as the GINS Gender Lens Investing Working Group.
And so I'd like to introduce Lise, and Lise is a repeat speaker on our course. It's always wonderful to have her, so we keep inviting her back. Lise is the Deputy Country Director of the TREC program, which is an initiative of the Jacobs Foundation and one of the leading experts when it comes to mezzanine finance on the continent.
At the foundation, we are very intentional about how we carry impact investment. And during the 3 years that we've been investing in Côte d'Ivoire with the objective of helping the country emerge as a hub for affordable market-based solutions in education, it has been critical for us to partner with local entities and to adapt our instruments to both our own need for performance, but also to the circumstances. And if you go to the next slide, basically the question today is, what does the future hold for impact investing in Africa in terms of investments, in terms of instruments that are being used? And my answer would be that the future holds a more tailored approach to investing in general. It has become very important to not use blanket instruments if we want to successfully invest for impact. Being flexible with investment instruments and adapt to local realities is critical if we want to fulfill the promise of impact investing. As we all recall, the reason why impact investing was adopted by so many organizations is because there's not enough money available in the philanthropy space to reach the sustainable development goals. And there is a necessity, as mentioned by Fleur earlier, to tap into the trillions of dollars that exist into the private sector. And to achieve this, it is our collective responsibility to create a solid business case with impact investing. This means that all of us here have a duty to structure our investments in a way where we have to do good and do well at the same time. Therefore, I invite you today to stay creative within the limits of the law, of course, and use mezzanine finance when needed in Africa so that we can have more successful exit stories.
So Julia, I'm going to invite you to speak a bit more about alternative structures, particularly revenue-based financing.
My name is Julia Price. I am the co-founder of Linear Capital. We've recently secured a USAID grant package, including a first loss piece, to pilot revenue-based financing exclusively as an exclusive mandate here in Southern Africa. And so really just a very opportune time to talk to you about what we're doing and how we see the opportunity in Africa. Thanks, Orny. First slide. So I wanted to start off with this very, very simple slide because when I historically thought about impact investing, my mind would always go to the investee, the target investment, where the beneficiary sat, and really where the data and the true meatiness of the impact was going to be achieved, both commercially and on an impact basis. Okay, so we know the benefits of revenue-based financing is really it keeps equity in the hands of founders, particularly women and previously disadvantaged founders. Equity holds the keys to drive revenue and create jobs, and share schemes can then be put in place to empower staff. For investors, it creates liquidity, and it creates an opportunity for follow-on capital and risk management. And again, that velocity of capital is really helpful when looking at an impact portfolio. I've listed a number of the organizations globally that are doing revenue-based financing already, and I look forward to keeping you posted as we continue to pilot and scale revenue-based finance for impact in Africa.
Joined us. Thanks for joining us. And if you want to be a speaker on our next webinar, it's a very quick process. All you have to do is join our course. 2 of our speakers today were previously on our course, so our next webinar could feature you. Thanks, everybody. Great to have you.